Your values decide the way you look at the world and perceive events in your environment. They decide how you process information and the ensuing actions that you take. It's important to have your own set of hard cutoffs and other more malleable values that are open to experience. Ultimately, you either decide your own values or live by the values programmed into you by your surroundings. You're going to act on those values and your results are going to be in keeping with the actions that you take. So start by reflecting on your current values. Do you even have any? Or are you running on what you were taught by school, your parents, your surroundings when you were a kid? Ask yourself what you believe in and what's important to you. Take some time to think about your personal morals and ethics, what you find right and wrong, and how they align with your goals and aspirations. You might find that you currently have values that aren't serving you and aren't leading you in a productive direction. Eliminate them. You might have had some good influences early in life that instilled positive values in you, and you should definitely hang on to those. You can't do either if you don't look, shine the light, and face what you don't want to face. You need to eliminate victimhood, lying, cheating, stealing, putting other people down, eliminate running from pain, eliminate choosing easy paths. After you reflect on what's there and then clean house for the values that you don't want to have and create yourself a semi-blank slate, it's time to define the values that you do want. So write down a list of values that are most important to you. This can include honesty, integrity, respect, or responsibility. It's not about lip service and having them look good to other people. This list is for your eyes only, so be honest. If you're in your early 20s and don't care about philanthropy right now, don't put it down to make yourself look good. Some of these values should be non-negotiable, black and white. Some are going to have some malleability and change as you go through life and your priorities change alongside that progression of time. I won't hold your hand through what your values should be, but what I would suggest to you is to aim for being a productive, positive influence on the world. Be honest, do the right thing. Not the convenient right thing, but the right thing that you know in your conscience is the right thing. Value the combination of smart and hard work. Value pulling yourself up from the bootstraps and helping yourself so that God can help you. You'll have to decide what values are important to you. When you're young and you haven't experienced much of the world, looking outside of you can help guide you in doing that. What kind of people do you respect? What achievements are you inspired by? What hero figures do you see in your life that you look up to? What warnings do you see in your life whose outcomes you want to avoid? Analyze their outcomes and then backtrack to their inputs and backtrack that to the values they must have if they're taking the actions that they did. It doesn't have to be people you know in real life. Books, podcasts, movies, videos are all rich in examples or warnings for you to base your values off of. Don't try to copy the entire person and their value set. It's rare for any one individual to have a full scope of values that you want. For example, you might want to adopt the values of hard work and creativity and resourcefulness from a billionaire entrepreneur. But maybe you want to avoid their values or lack thereof that lead to putting their family and relationships on the back burner, leading to an unfulfilling life. These external resources are great to give you a guiding hand, but the most potent and powerful resource, if you listen to it, is your own soul. You know intuitively when you're doing the right things or not. Listen to that voice instead of ignoring it or distracting yourself. It's going to be your best guide. These values are going to serve as your guiding principles and help you make important decisions in life. Then comes the real challenging part. Like I said, this isn't about lip service or making yourself feel like you've done something just by listing them out. Writing out your values and deciding on them is just planting the seeds. Living in a way that embodies your values is watering that seed through your actions. Then the fruits you bear over time are simply going to reflect the inputs that you put in. If you said you want to value health and fitness, you better have checked off your boxes of meal prepping and going to the gym in this past week. If you said you value being financially independent and able to help your family with money, where's the part of your day spent working on your business or investing? You get the point. It's not about telling people your values because nobody cares. Your results and actions show everyone exactly what your true values really are, not the ones you claim to have. The results will always speak louder than you ever could. When you claim to value one thing but act in a completely different way, the cognitive dissonance is going to eat away at you. You feel low self-esteem and self-respect because you're not being what you say you are. When I started my first business, I claimed to value entrepreneurship and success. I put founder and CEO in my bio and I showed off to everyone that I was a business owner. I didn't value the actual painful actions of being an entrepreneur, and it showed. I barely spent any time on the needle-moving activities in my business. I spent my time pretending to be this and that. Needless to say, it failed miserably. But worse than that, other people saw right through me and lost respect for me. And much worse than that, I lost respect for myself. I felt it in my conscience that I was not living up to my claimed values, and I tried to ignore it until I couldn't ignore it anymore. The result of failure was strong, and it was in my face. I couldn't ignore it. So make sure whatever values you decide on, be it through your idols or through your conscience, be prepared to act in keeping with them. It's going to get easier over time until eventually you get in a rhythm, and it'll be harder for you not to live that way. But at the beginning, when you just plant the new seed of a value, be ready to water it diligently with action. Tell the truth if you value honesty, even if it's uncomfortable. Go to the gym if you value your health and fitness, even when you don't feel like it. Work on your business or get better at your job, even when the day was tiring. And understand this too. It's easy when it's easy. As you go through life, opportunities are going to appear where breaking your values and doing something that goes against them may give you short-term pleasure or advancement. Don't do it. This is a test to see how much your values actually mean to you. It's easier to stay honest and faithful to your partner when you don't have many options. But when you're the guy or the girl and opportunities are all around you, what do you do then? That's a true test of your word. When you could screw over a colleague and get a promotion you've been eyeing, how do you act in that moment? The more you can stay true to your values in increasingly challenging scenarios, the more they become solidified. And make no mistake, you get away with nothing in this life. If you decide to act out of line with your values, you will face the judgment of your conscience. It's already going to be challenging enough living in line with new values or eliminating old ones, so make it easier on yourself. You do this by setting up systems for yourself and reduce your decision fatigue and the use of willpower. And the more you act in line, the more you strengthen your own word to yourself. So if you said you value health and fitness and you have a workout scheduled at 6 p.m. today, you're doing it. Black and white, there's no negotiating. You might be doing it energized, you might be doing it tired, you might be doing it on a full night's sleep or a rough night. You might be doing it after a honeymoon or a breakup, but you are doing it. This type of strong-minded black and white thinking is very helpful for your solidified values since you avoid giving yourself the alternative option at all. Now, real quick, guys, if you get value from these videos and podcasts, be sure to check the description for our newsletter, our resources, and our courses. They're going to help you too. Now, another thing you can do is control your environment, both physical and mental. We've all heard a million times that you become who you surround yourself with, and it's absolutely true. Be around people who have the values that you want to embody. You're unnecessarily getting in your own way by being around people who embody old values or values that you don't desire to have. Why are you hanging out with friends that only like to smoke weed and eat garbage if you claim to value health and fitness? How much easier and natural would it be if you put yourself in environments where people already care about their health and fitness and live that way? It would only be natural for you to ascend to their level. When I was in school, all I valued was getting good grades so I can get into medical school, and that was important. So I was around people who valued school and education. This didn't make studying fun, but it made it the natural thing to do because it was necessary to achieve my goal, and the people around me were doing the same thing. And it's the same with the things that you consume. Listen to podcasts, watch videos, read books from people who have similar values to you. It's not about creating an echo chamber, and we'll talk more about that later, but just curating an environment that makes living in your values the most logical next step. Now, the last thing is to make sure that you keep an open mind. Like I said, there should be black and white fixed values that you have, things like honesty, integrity, and hard work. But there should also be more malleable ones that are open to change as you progress through life and gain more experience. In your teens and early 20s, you might look at a potential partner and only care about their looks and superficial characteristics. As you grow older and you want a life partner, that should change to incorporate more inner values and personality characteristics. Not that looks shouldn't matter at that point, but the other things should be given more thought than you used to. And so you have to adjust some of these values as you go through phases of life where the priorities change. When I was trying to get into med school, and throughout med school, my value was studying and doing well in school. It had to be, to achieve what I wanted. However, as I became more interested in entrepreneurship and building my creative pursuits, my values had to change. If I applied the same values of studying business books and memorizing facts, I would fail miserably in business. The business world is a different animal and it requires much more of an action-oriented approach where it's ready, fire, aim. So my values had to change in this aspect. So that's it, you guys. Your values are going to play a huge subconscious or conscious role in the unfolding of your life. I suggest that you make them conscious, decide them consciously, and act on them consciously. Solidify your foundational values through action and never budge. Tweak your malleable values as you experience more life and learn different things. And then reflect on how things are going and reflect often to see what changes you need to make. Hopefully that helped you guys out. Like I said, check the description for our newsletter and other resources, and we'll talk to you next time.